Hello. I want to spend a few minutes telling you about some of the stories from the January-February Asimov's science fiction magazine. Last month I told you about some stories from the Analog. As always, I want to tell you about these stories in the hopes that you'll be interested enough to want to check out the magazine for yourself. I want to start by talking about Robert Silverberg's Reflections column, which was called Looking Backward. He talked about a book called Paleo Art that was a picture book of artists' conceptions of dinosaurs dating back to 1830, when people really had no idea what dinosaurs actually looked like. So a lot of the pictures he describes are of just horrifying, gigantic monsters. Presumably the pictures become a bit more detailed and scientifically accurate as he kind of goes through time, because people get a better idea of what dinosaurs look like. He doesn't actually say, but I assume that has to be the case. Ventiforms was a novelette by Sean Monahan, which was a well-written story about a woman looking for her son who has lost himself in an artistic project on an alien planet. Salting the Mine was a pretty fun short story by Peter Wood about a long-abandoned colony on an alien world worried that an Earth-based ship might disrupt their daily lives. Also, it had some alien characters, and I always enjoy reading non-human alien characters. Excuse me. Taking Icarus Home was another great novelette by Suzanne Palmer about a spacer who picks up a badly burned life pod and its equally badly burned passenger. An interesting story, and it was actually written in second person, which you don't come across very often. So, the story was all, you see this and you do that, and you say this and you go over here, that kind of thing, which is an interesting narrative choice. A Street Away was a pretty fun poem, short poem that was in there. There was another poem. Street Away was a poem by Jane Yolen. There was another fun poem called The Moral of the Double Slit Experiment by Michael Meyerhofer, which I enjoyed as very much as well. And then there was a novella called The Esteemed. It was a novella about a seemingly benevolent alien who pops in on Earth at seemingly different points to sort of guide our development to stave off some future crisis. But apparently he keeps going backward from his perspective. So his arrival in the 1980s happened before his arrival in the 1970s. Kind of reminded me, if any of you read John Byrne's Elseworlds 3 miniseries. It was a year-long miniseries in which Darkseid kept sending his parademons and his minions back in time, but each visit was 10 years before the previous visit. That was kind of a fun story. And this novella had a similar kind of concept where he keeps going further back in time to sort of guide our development and guide our evolution and technological development. Anyway, those were some of the fun stories in the Asimov's January-February. I can also tell you a bit about the Ellery Queen Mystery Magazine January-February, because since it was January-February, they had a lot of Sherlock Holmes pastiches in there, including another great parody by who wrote that one? Terence Faherty. Terence Faherty has written several Holmes pastiches, Holmes parodies, that he claims are first drafts of the stories that Dr. Watson later wrote and had submitted to the magazine. Lots of fun, and I really enjoyed reading those as well. So that's all I've got. I'll get started on the March-April issues of Analog and Asimov's pretty soon, and I'll be back here to tell you about those after I've had a chance to do so. Take care, and I'll see you next time.